Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Blues feed. It feels like it's been forever since we've been back for a match review and a preview. I'm obviously joined by Danny. Danny, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, good mate. I'm excited to see us in a big test. Obviously, a few positives from Charlton. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, big test. Stamford Bridge will be rocking in a under the lights, big game. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how we get on.
Yeah, I'm buzzing for it. Just before we get into Charlton and Arsenal and all of that stuff, those of you that watch our videos will see that we've got a bit of a different scroll across the bottom today. Normally, with our 1K subscriber giveaway, scrolling around the bottom as we open the show, just as we remind you all. But today, we've actually got another giveaway to talk to you about. We teased it at the end of last year. So once we hit 600 subscribers on YouTube, we're going to be giving away a signed Chelsea shirt, which has kindly been donated to us. And currently we're sat on 477 subscribers, so we're only about 120 away. The shirt, it's a 2021 home shirt, and it is signed by Gianfranco Zola, Terry Phelan, Idager Johnson, William Gallas, and Jeremy. So one of you people will win that once we hit 600 subscribers. So make sure that you comment, like, and subscribe, and let us know why you want this shirt. Who's your favourite player of the five? And if you've got a good memory of those players. We will also still be doing our 1,000 subscriber giveaway as we've been teasing for a while, but we've got to still hit that 1,000 mark. Same as all of that, like, subscribe, comment, etc. And once we hit the 600 mark, one of you will get that shirt. Danny, giveaways out the way. Oh, actually, that's a good point. Anyone who's looking at the screen right now, you'll see it. For anyone that listens to us on audio platforms, drop us a message and we'll happily ping over a copy of the shirt. Um, let's get into it, Danny. Charlton, weird one
Yeah,
for me because I was so excited, as I always am when we got a new manager, whether I've previously thought we should hire them or not. I'm always excited for a manager's first game. I don't know why. There's a sort of a nostalgic child inside me that likes to. I like a little bit of change sometimes, and it's just one of the things where you want to back them. It was a bit of a strange one for me because it was my wife's 30th on Saturday, so I couldn't watch it. We were out, but I've watched it back since, and I was impressed with what I saw. Danny, what did you think? And overall, how do you feel about Liam Rosenior? Because it's the first time we've had a chance to come on here and properly chat about it.
yeah. I would say on Charlton specifically, it was just quite positive to see the results. We generated some good chances. We um, some big chances as well. It was good to see us be quite clinical in those chances that we got as well. It was nice to see some of the players that didn't play a huge amount under Maresca at the start of the season playing well. Obviously, that shows what was going on behind the scenes in Hato, in Santos, in Gittins. They all played really well. So it was positive to see that. Um, so yeah, that's the positives of Charlton. I mean, we expected to win, so we did. It was good to see some of like the little tweaks that Liam made as well with the double pivot being close together, a lot more rotations and movements around to allow the build up to be a bit more fluid and more and quicker overall. So it was good to see he's been able to put his stamp on it already. Um, from Liam overall, if my I put my optimistic hat on, I could genuinely see him if he does well, being like a mixture of the last like three managers we've had, which well, not last three in order, but three of the last managers we've had. But in Maresca tactically, very similar, and Maresca was pretty good at tactics 9 times out of 10. Pochettino in getting the buy-in from the players, and then somebody like Thomas Tuchel in the way that he speaks very well in the media. So if he performs and gets good results, he'll be a good blend of all three of those. I think it's been refreshing to see how he talks. It's been refreshing to see kind of the buy-in from the players um, already, and see that he's been able to get a bit of a tactical stamp on the game already. So, yeah, overall positive start. I do have some reservations about him taking the step up, but that will only come with how it happens on the pitch, and then we can judge it from there.
Yeah, because the result was fantastic, but let's face it, we're playing a mid to bottom half championship side, so you can't really read too much into it. Like you say, we got to see little bits of his way in the game. Bearing in mind he'd only had a couple of days training, so that's nice to see. But there are a lot of reservations, like you say, around him and his experience and the way he can take us forward. And it's only really going to be time that will tell. Obviously, Arsenal tomorrow night's a big game. If he can manage to win that, his first game at the Bridge, that'll go a long way with giving him some time with the fans to really get his stamp on the team. A couple of things that I liked from Charlton were the, especially at the end of the game, the way the players were with him. I really liked that. I thought that already looked like somebody who was building relationships. And everything we heard prior to him joining was how he's a man manager, he's a good people person, and how he can build those relationships. You look at his, as I joked to you before the show, his son Andre Santos. They've obviously got a good relationship. He mentioned about his children and his wife during his early talks with the club. So yeah, it's just got a nice feel about him. I'm not completely sold on him as a manager in terms of how he can take us to the next level yet, but what I am sold on is he's going to be good for the group. And I think they will buy into him as a person definitely before they buy into him as a manager, which is always a nice thing. But ultimately, from our perspective, it's all about results. You've got to get results, and I think he knows that. He knows that it's not a. He hasn't got time. He's got to hit the ground running. Chelsea fans are not happy at the minute, and understandably so in some areas of the club and what's going on. Obviously, the protests coming up this weekend. But yeah, I think I'm positive around Rosenior for the short term in terms of him getting the buy-in from the players. But then we just got to see that translate to the pitch.
Yeah, I would say I do feel like sometimes tactics and the way you play and everything like that is a little bit overrated in a way, because I think the biggest thing you've seen at Chelsea and in other clubs for years and years and years is if the players are playing at their top level, you're going to win more football games regardless of your tactics. You just look at the result against Man City the other day. Callum didn't do anything ridiculous, like crazy out the box. He just set us up pretty solid. We then went 1-0 down, and he went more man to man, and we got a result. And got one. We obviously nicked a point away to Man City, and we were very deserving of that point. So, as much as I do have reservations about his tactics or how it translates, etc., the biggest thing in football is getting the players to play for you, and you kind of seen that at Real Madrid recently. Xabi Alonso's not really done a bad job at Real Madrid at all. Like, they're doing okay in the Champions League, they're doing okay in the league, but the players haven't bought in, so the geezer's lost his job. So his superpower is keeping the players on side, exactly how Pochettino kept his job for so long because the players loved him, and how it was even a debate towards the end of the season because the players continued to play for him until the last game of the season. So
Yeah,
if Rossini could just set us up in a pretty good way, nothing has to be crazy, but just a pretty good way, and then the players are playing at that top level, then you're halfway there, if not 75% of the way there, and then you just have to do some tactical things, identify the weaknesses, and stop their strengths, and you're on to a winner. So I'm quite positive about it, but like I say, I reserve my judgment for later down the line as the results come in. Exactly like what I said in my article when I was talking about obviously the meeting that we had. They're saying the right things. Rossini's saying the right things, but the proof is in the pudding, and what
yeah,
happens on the pitch will be how I judge it, and then that's where I will make my further judgments and make my calls from there.
exactly. I always go by the phrase, what can't speak can't lie. So the football is the thing that will do the talking. People can say things, but it's the doing things and actually what you can see with your eyes is the important thing. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, because
Charlton
if
was,
Rossini was as good as his words, he'd be the
oh,
best manager in the
fantastic.
world because
Yeah,
he says everything. Well, the interesting thing will be how he talks if it goes badly, because
yeah,
he's very good at the moment of speaking about the buzzwords and the thing that everybody want to hear. But if you're that positive and that um, in the way you're talking and that positive and everything's going to be great and we're going to win everything when you're losing, people are going to go, "Oh, shut up." So we'll see.
Exactly.
We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Very impressed with the start though, and we'll judge the results as they come.
Yeah, exactly that. Holloway in the next round as well. So another championship side, Liam Rosenior derby. Yeah, see how we get on and hopefully move forward in that competition as well. Moving
Yep.
to sort of the other domestic competition, Arsenal at home tomorrow in the first leg of the semi-final. Massive, massive game. Obviously, if we've got any sort of hope of winning this semi-final over the two legs, tomorrow night's a must-win. I think it's difficult to go to the Emirates and get a win. You can potentially go there and get a draw, but that's even difficult as well. I, I mean, we'll get to the predictions later on how we see it going. This is massive for Liam. This could buy Liam Rosenior so much time if we get a win tomorrow night. Be, just with the fans more than anything. Obviously, he'll get time with the club. We know that, but he could win himself some really early brownie points with a win tomorrow night. And I don't think people will even care about the performance. It is just get the result. So, Danny,
Absolutely.
how do you think it's going to pan out? What do you expect to see from Arsenal? What do you expect to see from us as well?
I agree. I agree 100% with what you're saying. I said when he was appointed, he will talk very well and people will like him. Then, if he can get a couple of big results early on, and I earmarked Arsenal and Napoli as the two, because if you beat Arsenal and you go through to the final, fantastic, you'll get a buy-in. And if you can beat Napoli and get us into the top eight of the Champions League again, you'll get loads of buy-in. So he has multiple opportunities over the next kind of couple of weeks really to kind of get that full buy-in, and if you can do one if not both, then you'll get everyone behind him, and I think a lot of the noise will calm down and subside. On tomorrow, sorry, on Wednesday night, how what I expect, I'm just going to throw up Arsenal shape on the screen. um this is how they played against Liverpool. I don't know if you watched it, but it fuck me, was it boring. It was just both teams just not wanting to lose, no real chances, nothing really to talk about, and very boring Arsenal kind of controlled game. And I kind of see them wanting to kind of do it in the same way. I'm pretty sure that game had less than one XG across both sides, and like one big chance or something stupid like that. So they're going to come. They've rested all their players. They're going to come play their best side, I believe. They're going to be solid. They're going to be compact. If we go 1-0 down, we're going to make ourselves make the task proper uphill. Um, they have been conceding more goals though in recent times, so they're not quite as defensively resolute as they have been. Yes, they were very boring and defensive against Liverpool, but in Bournemouth they conceded to Villa, they conceded Brighton, they conceded to Palace in the last round of the cup. They've conceded even to Wolves in the middle of December as well. So they're not quite as defensively solid as they were. So we can get at them. We saw that in the game against them before. We need to be quick in transition when we win the ball. Um, so they can't get into their low to mid block and be really hard to break down. So it will be the speed of attack once we get the ball and recycling to create those opportunities, and it'll be being clinical, because if we can get the first goal, they'll have to come out a little bit more, which will only create more chances. Whereas if we concede the first goal, they're only going to get more boring and more defensive. So yeah, that's kind of how I see it. Um, Set pieces is going to be a big one because they're very good at set pieces from an attacking perspective, but they've actually been fairly vulnerable over the last few weeks to a month from set pieces themselves. So if we can get a few set pieces as well, we could potentially see some opportunities from those as well.
Yeah, well, I just did a little check. So they've conceded in 11 of their last 15. So, like you say, their defence is not what it was probably at the start of this season and maybe last season. So there's definitely scope to get at them. Obviously, they've got some defensive injuries, which probably plays a part in that. They're obviously a very good side, as much as I hate to admit that. But I don't know. I've just got a feeling Stamford Bridge under the lights. It takes me back to that Barcelona game. Just getting the fans on board. Let's drop the Clear Lake stuff for a game. bring that back against Brentford, fair enough. But just for this game tomorrow night, just worry about the team. Forget the club, forget the ownership, forget all of that stuff. Just worry about the team on the pitch and just get behind the boys. And I think if the place is rocking, I really think we can win that game tomorrow night. I actually really do. But I think
The
that is
first goal will be
the
massive, but I agree
yeah,
100% with what you're saying. I mean, the
the
crowd
12th man, the
against
12th man.
the crowd against Arsenal when we played them in the league was massive. The
Exactly.
and against Barcelona was massive as well. So
Yeah,
um, they'll be on side. Yes, there might be some Clear Lake stuff. There might be some Igbali stuff, whatever. But I think once the game gets going and everyone will just be bought into Chelsea versus Arsenal, and I think we will be on their side. So if we can have a positive start and we can get the bridge rocking, that'll be the first. That's the first thing. I mean, if I was Arteta, my
yeah,
first thing would be let's make this the most boring 10, 15 minutes we could possibly imagine and quieten the whole
yeah.
entire crowd down and start getting them annoyed. Whereas we have to do the opposite. Let's get the crowd on our feet, play some attacking football to start with. Create a
Yeah,
chance in the first 5, 10 minutes, and you'll get
and
everybody on
that's it.
side,
Yeah,
and they'll carry you
exactly.
through it.
Yeah, 100%. So it's obviously going to be a bit different to the Charlton game. I looked at that lineup and thought I'll be surprised if more than two of these players start against Arsenal. Um, we're going to come onto the lineup shortly, but from a shape and tactical perspective, Dan, how do you see us lining up against Arsenal tomorrow night?
It's going to be an interesting one because obviously his one and only game, he kind of went back to that tradition, his kind of whole way of playing, which was in like the 4-2-3-1 base of his way of playing. And I don't know if that's because he hasn't had that much time on the training pitch or if he just thinks that that fits the team better than um, the 3-4-3 kind of base that he played at Strasbourg. But it was pretty similar to the way that Maresca set up, but with the tweak of having the pivots much closer together and not completely out of build up. Um, and the wing backs were kind of inverting, but not in the way that Maresca was playing. He kind of had them more in a wider and not into the base of midfield as like a number 6 or what have you. So it was, and they also had the freedom to go outside as well as inside, so it wasn't quite as rigid. It was an interesting setup. I think it will be something very similar with the pivots very close to make us a little bit more solid and compact. You have something like Santos and James in there, and then I think even Enzo Fernandez, who'll be the 10/8, could also very likely just become a 3-man in midfield and match them up in the way that Arsenal play with 3 in midfield.
Yeah, that's how I expect us to line up, especially with no Caicedo. That gives us an air of vulnerability in midfield. But I think with Reece in there, Santos or Rosenior Junior, don't know, that might be his new nickname for me, and Enzo, like you say, I think we'll probably end up matching them up as a 3-man midfield and
Yeah, which I
try.
like because one thing that I've been impressed from listening, reading, looking into our episode the other day with Lintu, Rosenior is much more pragmatic and flexible with his tactics compared to
Yeah,
Maresca. Maresca was very. He did have some tweaks to it, but it was like 90-95% the same every week with a slight different tweak.
yeah, there's more sort of adjusting to the opponent, trying to set us up tactically to beat the opponent. Whereas, like we said multiple times, Maresca's one game tactics in the big games were really, really good, and they often saw us come out on top, which was great. It was then the
But it was
smaller
only
games
small
where,
tweaks between what he
yeah,
normally does.
of
Like there was never
course,
anything dramatic or massively
but they
different.
tended to
And
work.
then,
But
yeah, no, absolutely,
with the likes
absolutely.
of Brasinia, it seems like he will even change a formation if it suits our game plan to beat a team. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. Let's
Yeah,
go
that's
on
what I'm
to
saying.
our
I wouldn't be massively surprised if you end up seeing something like Trev, Fafana, and James in the middle with like wing backs in there, or like you could have
yeah.
Cucurella, Fafana, and Trev in the middle with kind of maybe Neto as a wing back and Gusto as the other wing back with James and Santos in the middle, or something like that. It's going to be very interesting to see how he sets it up.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, especially when you've got quite a few players for us that are versatile, the likes of Jarrell Hato, who can play as a centre back or a left back, he'd
Hmm.
be perfect with a three. Um, Danny and I have done our predictions. They're on screen for you guys that are watching. For you that are listening, I'll quickly read mine out and then pass it over to Danny. So I predict that we're gonna go with the 4-2-3-1 shape that we showed at the weekend, with Sanchez in goal, Josh at right back, Fafana and Trev at centre back, with Kukurea at left back, James and Santos in the pivot, with Enzo just in front, Esteval to the left, Palmer to the right, and Delap down the middle. Danny, let's go with yours.
Yep, I've gone for very, very similar, but just with a slight tweak, with Neto and Gusto coming in. But to read it all out, I've got Sanchez in goal, Gusto right back, Fofana and Trevor in the middle, Cucurella on the left, Santos and James in the middle, Enzo Fernandez in the 10/8 to match it up, Neto on the left, mainly for his defensive work rate, Palmer on the right, and Delap up top. Delap's in there for me for a bit more physicality and stretching the pitch. Um, Neto's in there for his defensive, and
Yeah,
Gusto just because I think he'll really like the way that Rosenior wants to use him, and he's just that little bit more senior. I expect Josh to get more minutes than he did under Maresca, but I just don't think this week. As much
yeah.
as I'd love to have him.
Yeah, the only reason I put Josh in over Gusto is because he mentioned Gusto, Palmer, and James in the press conference yesterday, and
Hmm.
I'm not sure if all three will start, and I'm just hoping if one of the three wasn't to start, it would be Gusto. Although I would like all three to start. If I knew that all three were fit, then I would have Gusto in at right back over Josh, just because of the magnitude of the game, and I think Gusto and Palmer have got a really good relationship on the right hand side of the pitch as well.
Yeah, it would be very interesting to see out of those three who's fit and who's not, because if all three of them were fit, it seems a little bit like a message of we're actually going to just tell you when people aren't fit, unlike Maresca. Because
Yeah,
I mean, if Maresca had just communicated the Palmer injury better or whatever, or the way that the medical staff work, even though it's been in there since Maresca had joined the club, then nobody would have ever questioned that type of thing. So it did feel a little bit like the medical staff will give me my recommendation, and I will then make the decision on Wednesday to kind of hammer home the point of the medical staff are very important, but also I'm very important, and I will make the decisions as well. It seemed a little bit of PR, but we'll see tomorrow. If none of them are, if one of them misses out, then it's absolutely truthful. If they all play, I'll be like, okay, it's a little bit of PR.
yeah. Well,
Cool.
I think let's go on to our predictions before we end the show today. So I've gone slightly more optimistic than Danny. I think Chelsea are going to win this game 2-1. I think Palmer will score, and I'm going for a Liam Delap goal. And I think Santos will be man of the match for us.
I've gone 1-1. I just think it would be quite a cagey game. I think what could quite easily happen is one team gets the first goal and then just doesn't want to lose the game. And when it gets to 1-1, nobody will really push for that winner. It will be a very end of the first leg kind of game where nobody wants to be the loser. So they just sacrifice the win. So it's going to be 1-1. I'm going to for Rosenior Jr. with the goal, run over to the touchline and hug him. Um, maybe flip off Maresca somewhere as well. And then the best player on the pitch, Reece James for man of the match. He's going to fill the Caicedo hole. But I will say as well, everybody, let us know what you think the score is going to be. Um, you let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know how you think of Rosenior. You could absolutely get involved in the next episode as the best comment of the episode. It was really nice to see some new faces, some new subscribers as well. So we are much appreciative of that. Let us know if there's anything you want us to do, any content, any guests, or anything like that, and we'll see what we can do.
Yep, we'll be back at the end of the week to review the Arsenal game and preview Brentford. Let's hope that we'll be coming back with a win in the first leg of the semi-final up the
Come on,
Chelsea.
you boys.